Hi, everybody. Welcome to this month's webinar in the For Good Cause webinar series. Really appreciate you being here. Today's session is all about successful onboarding of donors through email. Got a wonderful guest speaker. Really can't wait to get started with you guys. If you can see and hear us, please put something in the chat. Say hello. Say where you're from, what organization that you're from. Let's kind of see where everybody's coming in from. Um, Hopefully, I know we got a lot of For Good Cause clients signed up, so really excited to see some of you guys. Hopefully meeting some new folks here today as well. Really appreciate you being here. We know how busy nonprofits are. It means a lot to us that you're taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend it on education with us. A few housekeeping things. We will be recording the session today. So if you have to step away, no big deal. I will be sending out that replay probably tomorrow, probably by noon Eastern. So just look for an email from me on that. As you have questions, please post them in the chat. We will, have some time at the end to answer any and all questions that come to us. Appreciate folks that submitted some questions during the registration as well. We'll be looking at those also. On the right, we'll also drop polls from time to time, perhaps some links. So just keep one corner of your eye out over there. I'm going to start off by just introducing myself, and then we'll get to the person that you're really here to see, and that's our guest speaker. My name is Ronald Pruitt. I'm the president and founder of For a Good Cause. I've been helping nonprofits raise money online for over 24 years now. I'm coming to you today from Kennesaw, Georgia. It's a little bit outside Atlanta, and here in the house today, my wife, my mother-in-law is across the hall. My teenage son is upstairs, and we do have one away in college. We miss her terribly. My company, For a Good Cause, we are an online fundraising platform for small to mid-sized nonprofits. You can check us out at foragoodcause.com. When you go there, I certainly recommend our blog and our webinar series. If you're looking for some more, great fundraising education, while you're there, feel free to check out the rest of our site to learn a little bit more about what we're doing for small nonprofits, helping them raise more money and keep more of what they raise. Okay, let's get to our guest speaker. I am super excited to have Ephraim Gompin, founder of 1832 Communications and host of the Weekly Dose of Nonprofit podcast. I do listen. It is awesome. He's here to speak to you today. You're going to learn a lot from somebody with over 20 years experience in nonprofit marketing and communications. I'm a big fan. I'm watching his Twitter feed every day to see what great stuff that he's putting out. You're going to be a big fan as well once we get through the presentation. Ephraim, I'm going to pass this over to you. Thank you very much for being here. Let me know when you need me to drop a poll or, drop a link or anything like that, or, you're ready to have us fire off some questions at you. Thanks for being here, and take it away.
Thank you, Ron. And of course, appreciate you hosting me today. Thanks to For a Good Cause for having me. And thank you for being here with me for this webinar entitled Getting a Foot in the Door, How to Successfully Onboard New Subscribers to Your Nonprofit E-Newsletter. And we're going to be talking today about growing your email list so that down the road you have more opportunities to convert subscribers into donors. A little bit about me. As Ron mentioned, I'm the founder of 1832 Communications. I partner with nonprofits to help them build more relationships, raise more money, serve more people, and have more impact in the community. And today's presentation is right in the sweet spot of where I love to work, which is when fundraising and marketing work in tandem. It's a beautiful thing, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. For anybody who might be tweeting during this webinar, A, thank you. B, please tag, first of all, for AGC, for a good cause. You can also tag me. And if you remember, please use the hashtag onboardmore. And this way I can check it out after I'm finished with the presentation. So I can thank you for tweeting it out and I can see what you were tweeting out. In terms of what we're going to cover today, we're going to cover a little bit about email fundraising and marketing strategy. We're going to talk about where on your website you should put your e-news subscription form. We're going to talk about your call to action to encourage more people to sign up for your e-newsletter. We're going to talk about what fields should be in that form on your website. Should you or should you not include a call to action on your online donation form asking people to sign up for your e-newsletter? We're going to talk about your welcome email, which is the most important email you're going to send after somebody signs up. And then we're going to talk a little bit about testing, because that's my favorite thing. Always be testing. So a little bit about email strategy. And the first thing I want to talk about is diversifying your fundraising portfolio. If all your eggs are in a gala event basket or a major gifts basket, and something happens, you're kind of stuck. Which is why when I work with nonprofits, and Ron would tell you the exact same thing, diversify, diversify, diversify. You have individual donors, monthly givers, corporate partners, foundation partners. You can use events to raise money, online campaigns to raise money, and yes, you can use email to raise money for your organization. It's one of the ways that you should be fundraising. In terms of email fundraising and marketing, I've got 3 stats that you should know of. 1, according to Statista, over 4 billion people have email. Basically, your audience has email. Your supporters have email. Your potential donors have email. Get them signed up and connecting with your organization. Number 2, according to Blackbaud, over $40 billion is raised online every year. And what is email when you use it for fundraising? You're sending people with an ask to your online donation form and you're asking them to donate. There's a lot of money being given online, and email helps drive a lot of that traffic to those online donation forms. And the third one, it's a statistic you want to be on the other end of. According to QGive, the average retention rate in the nonprofit sector is about 45%. Basically, if in 2021 you had 100 donors, only 45 of them are going to give you again in 2022, which means you just lost 55. And now you got to go find new ones to cover those. And if you want another statistic even more abysmal than this one, first-time donors, the retention rate is about 18 to 20%, which means of every 100 new donors you get, only 18 to 20 of them are going to give again. As a sector, we are losing current donors, we're losing first-time donors. Your retention rate should be way higher than that. And the fact is that email is a way to help you connect and engage with people who are donors and get them to continue giving and giving again and again. In terms of your email marketing strategy, I'd like you to consider 4 things before we dive into onboarding. Number 1, the rule of 7. This comes from the world of e-commerce. So I'm probably the only person here right now who does not have an Amazon account, but I'm betting that the rest of you do. Let's talk about what happens when you go to buy a new product. Okay, so there's what's called the rule of 7. It's 7 touch points between the time you say, I want to get something, to the time you actually buy it and become a customer. So you need a new backpack. I start searching on Google for it. I see some pictures of backpacks. Maybe I click on an ad, or I don't click on an ad. Okay, I decide today I'm not getting it. But then I come back another day and I say, you know what, I really need that backpack. So I Google again, and now I click and I go into a website and I start looking at the different backpacks that they have. But you know what, it's too expensive. So I decide, I'm not going to get one today. Of course, that website starts following you around the internet, right? They start showing you ads. And now you see ad after ad, which reminds you, oh yeah, I need a backpack. I need a back. I click on an ad. Now I click on an ad and I decide, you know what, I'm not going to buy it, but I will sign up for their e-newsletters, so that will remind me a little bit, maybe to get a backpack down the road. You get an email from them, maybe you click, now you're back. You start the process of buying, and guess what? Now, you know what? I don't want to spend $60 on a backpack today, so you abandon your cart at checkout. Then you get an email, the good companies at least, will send you an email right away and say, hey, we noticed you abandoned your cart. As a first-time customer, we want to offer you a 20% discount. Now you go, $48 I can afford. You go, you buy the backpack. From the time you considered starting to buy the backpack until you actually bought it, it's 7 touch points. Email fundraising and marketing works exactly the same. Just because somebody signed up for your e-newsletter doesn't mean they're going to become a donor right away. It's a process that's going to take time between the time they sign up until the time you convert them into a donor, and you need to be aware of that process and make sure that you're sending them emails, teaching them about your organization, including them, engaging them, connecting with them, so that eventually you can turn them into a donor. Number 2, you versus we. You all know this from the world of fundraising, and it applies to email as well. Less you, the organization, less we, the organization, look what we did. Your email should be full of you. What did you do? What did you, the donor, do? What did you, the community of do-gooders, do in order to make something happen, in order to create some impact in the community? The same way you would do it in fundraising, your emails have to follow the exact same best practice. Number 3, in terms of averages from Campaign Monitor, open rates, the average open rate in the nonprofit sector is about 20%, although we'll discuss open rates a bit later and why I don't put any stock in them. On the other hand, click-through rates, which is very important to know, 2.66%. So if you have 100 subscribers to your emails, only 3 of them are going to click on your call to actions, your CTA, your call to action buttons, and what you want them to do. The fact is you can get way higher than 3 as long as your emails are engaging and, again, you're connecting with them. And finally, this is a stat you should all know. According to Validity, 1 in 6 emails aren't delivered for a whole host of reasons. It could be your emails are now considered spam, or a lot of people weren't engaging with your emails, and maybe Gmail determined, why aren't people engaging with their emails? Because it must be spam. So now everything's going into the spam box. Or your emails file sizes are too large, and so they're being rejected by email providers. So therefore, Gmail or Outlook says this email is too large. There's a picture in it, but the picture's file size is so large, we won't even let it into the inbox. The fact is, 1 in 6 emails aren't being delivered. And that's something to know when you're looking at your list and going, we've got 10,000 people on our list. But it's not about the size of the list. It's about the amount of people who are engaging. And if a bunch of your emails aren't even being delivered in the first place, you're losing all those opportunities to convert potential subscribers into potential donors. So now that we've looked at a little bit of background, let's talk about location. Where on your website should your e-newsletter sign up be located? And Ron, I'd appreciate if you could run the first poll. Where should your e-news sign up form be located on your website?
All right, I am sharing that now. If you guys look on the right, you'll be able to answer that question.
Let's see what you got. I've given you 4 different choices. Upper banner, about a third of the way down the page, above the footer, and in the footer. We'll give it a couple more seconds. Would love to get some more votes. Let's see what we got. Anyone else? All right. Ron, when you close it out, will I be able to see the results?
Yeah, you should be able to see the results on the side. I think those are shared with everybody.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've got about half the people said in the upper banner is where it should be. And we got about a quarter saying about a third of the way down the page. 1 person said above the footer, and a couple said in the footer itself. Let's find out what the answer is. Thank you to everybody who answered. Let's see what we've got. So here's the don't. And this is for everybody who said in the upper banner. The answer is no, it should absolutely not be in the upper banner of your website. And I want to share with you, this is from Feeding America. This is the upper banner of their website. What they do well in this upper banner is this, the donate button. It stands out. It's a different color. It's a different shape. It is the call to action. They're telling me donate. That's what we want you to do. However, right to the left of it, you can see it says sign up. They want me to sign up. You know what that does to users? It confuses them because now I have to make a choice. Do they want me to donate or do they want me to sign up? And that's the last thing you want. Don't confuse your users. Make it easy for them to take action. And so you don't want the sign up here. And I'll explain to you a second reason in a couple of slides why you don't want it in the upper banner. Feeding America does have it down below, closer to the footer. It's above our Partners in Hunger blog. I would not put it, I would put it underneath. I would put it right above the footer. That is the best placement. So kudos to the person in our poll who answered above the footer. But what's great about this sign up form is it stands out. It is a different color. The subscribe button is a different color. It is easy for people to see. They find it, put in their email address, and subscribe. Done. Here's what you should not do. This is from Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. You can see this is their footer. They have it even below the footer, and it's really hard to find this white on gray. So I circled it in red, and it says subscribe to MSK. The problem with this is not only is it too far down on the page for me to find, and it's very hard to find, but they're asking me to now go to a new page and fill in a form there. That's not a good user experience. You want users to be able to come, see the form, fill it in, and move on. They don't have time. Think about how you use websites. You don't have time to start clicking until you get to what you're looking for. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get tired. You're going to move on to something else. So you want to avoid that. This is from Goodwill, and this, for more information. So the word subscribe is this dark blue against a lighter blue, which is a little bit tough to read. But here's what's missing: the form. You have to click and go to another page. Again, don't force me to do that. Have the form right there on the page, and here is what we want to do. This is from Direct Relief. It is right above their footer. Number one. Number two, it's in a different color, the black. Number three, the sign up is in their branded color, so it stands out. Now, why above the footer? Consider how people come to your website and what they're looking for. They're looking to learn more about you. What's your mission? What do you advocate for? So let's say I come to your nonprofit homepage, and it's the first time I've been there. I'm going to see this great hero image. I'm going to see your mission statement. I might see a little bit about you or how you do your awesome sauce. I might see some data about your impact, who your foundation and corporate partners are, maybe some media hits, a blog post, some pictures, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom of the page. You have now shown me value. I'm more interested. Therefore, the sign up form goes here. Every page on your website should bring some value to users. Share value and then ask them to sign up, because now I've seen value in wanting to connect with you. I'm going to sign up. Number two, it shouldn't just be on the homepage. This sign up form should be on every single page of your website except for landing pages. If you have a landing page like your online donation form, you're asking people to donate. You don't have this form. You're asking people, let's say a volunteer page, fill out the form. That's the call to action. You don't need to have this. But on every other page of your website, this form should show up, because remember, not everybody's coming to your homepage. They're going to your About Us page, a gallery of pictures, something about an event you had or whatever it is. They're going to different pages on your site. So make sure this form in every page, you're giving the user value. Make sure this shows up on every single page of your website right above the footer. Now, one example I want to show you, which is a do but, this is from the Susan G. Komen Foundation. And you can see that they've put the sign up for their e-newsletter in their footer. And the join here is their color pink. It does stand out. Here's the deal though. They have a pop-up ad on their website for their e-newsletter. That's why this is sitting so far down, because what they really want is for you to interact with that pop-up ad. I do get asked quite often, pop-up ads, do they work or do they not? Because a lot of us probably say, oh, they're annoying as heck. But guess what? They can work. They really can. So what you want to do is test it. And you want to see, put a pop-up for your newsletter on your website on every single page, and then see, are people interacting with it, or are they immediately Xing it and not signing up? And you can test. You'll look at the data and you'll know, is it working or is it not working? I would simply caution, if you're going to use a pop-up ad, make sure that it shows up either when people have scrolled a third of the page already, or when they've been on the page for X amount of seconds, like 10 seconds. I hate, and users also hate, when you show up at a page and before you've even had a chance to read anything, boom, I get a pop-up, hey, sign up for our newsletter. I don't know if I want to. Give me some value first and then let me decide. So if you're going to use a pop-up and you want to test it, a third of the page scroll, or about a 10-second wait, and then have it show up. Or you can have it pop up when they go to click the X button to get out of that page. That's another option for you to test. So now we've learned where it's supposed to be on the website, above the footer. Let's talk about the ask, your call to action. How do you mobilize, encourage people to sign up? It is not a given that I'm going to sign up for your e-newsletter. Everybody's inboxes are overflowing. There's only a certain amount of people we want to hear from, a certain amount of organizations, right? Consider that with your ask, because your ask has to seal the deal. This is from the American Cancer Society, and I want to point out the first sentence and the third sentence. The first sentence starts out, stay connected to help end cancer. They had me right there. We all know somebody, unfortunately, who has passed away from cancer, has survived cancer. We all want to end cancer. So if I staying connected with the American Cancer Society in some way will help end cancer, I'm there. I'm signing up. But then they seal the deal with this. Receive research updates, inspiring stories, healthy living tips, and more. We all want to know, are we any closer to finding a cure for cancer? If the American Cancer Society is going to be sharing with me the latest data and studies and research updates, I want to get it. Healthy living tips. We all want to avoid cancer. If they're going to be sharing healthy living tips that will help me at least potentially avoid it, live longer, whatever it is, I'm signing up. What they've done with this call to action is they have sealed the deal because they've told me the value I'm getting by becoming a subscriber. It's not just sign up. They're giving me more. And that's what you want to do with your subscription form. This is from UNICEF, and I happen to love this. Be an active supporter. They don't want passive supporters. They want passive email subscribers. And this picture is great. It captures my attention. And then be the first to know about UNICEF's humanitarian relief efforts in times of emergency. So if there's a natural disaster going on and I want to help, UNICEF is going to let me know how I can help. There's that active subscriber. This is a good call to action that they're using here. This one, a little bit less so. This is from AmeriCares. And it just says, yes, I would like to receive communication from this organization. That doesn't tell me what type of communication. Fax, email, WhatsApps, texts. I don't know. Is it direct mail? It could be anything. So this is not sealing the deal. This is not bringing value. What you want to do is have a great call to action that encourages people to take action, mobilizes them to want to get on your list, like we saw, for example, with the American Cancer Society. So now we know where on your website it should be above the footer, and we know that you have to have a great call to action to get me to sign up for your newsletters. Now let's talk about form fields. What fields should you be asking for in your newsletter sign up? And I went to an expert in the field. His name is Tevi Hirschhorn, and he is an expert in the area of how people use websites. And I asked him how many fields, and his answer was, every second of friction that's thrown at somebody, the less signups you'll get. Just requesting an email address gets you more signups, full stop. All you have to ask for is an email address. Everything else adds friction to the process, and we don't want to add friction to a process. It's what I call form fatigue. There's too many, fields to fill out. You stop filling it out. Ask for email address. The other information that you need about an individual subscriber, you can get from them down the road in subsequent emails. So for example, this one from Planned Parenthood, they have a great call to action here. Join our network and be the first to take action in the fight to protect reproductive rights. If that's something that speaks to you and that you believe in, you're signing up for this email. Now you'll notice that they ask for two things, email address and zip code. Why zip code? They don't tell you why, but I'll tell you the reason why. Planned Parenthood is not just some small little nonprofit. They're national and regional. And what they do is they segment their email list by zip codes. So they know where everybody is. So if something's going on, let's say in Oklahoma, for example, they will email only the people whose zip codes are in that area and ask them to take action, whether that's calling a congressperson, signing an email, whatever it is. But that's what they've done. They've segmented their list. That's why they're asking for zip code. But if you don't need it, it just adds friction to the process. This is from Boys and Girls Club of America. It's in the footer, yes, but all they did was ask for email address. And I was like, woohoo, that's all. I'll sign up. I clicked the sign up button. But here's what happened when I clicked sign up. It took me to a completely new form. And the new form page has a lot of great pictures on it, which, was great. But then they started sharing all this, got the latest club news, read inspirational stories, see the difference supporters make. This is all stuff that could have been over there with the subscription form as a call to action. And then in the new form now, they ask for a lot more. They have my email address, but then they ask for my first name and last name and zip. Asking for a first name is okay if you plan to personalize your emails. Like if you ask for my first name, that first welcome email better be personalized. Don't ask me for something, information you're not going to use, just something to fill up your database. Okay. Last name you don't need. There's no reason for it. You can get it from me later at a different time. Zip code. Well, Boys and Girls Club is national, right? And they have local chapters and they want to localize the news. So they ask me, what's my zip code if I'm from, let's say, Boston? So they're going to send me certain emails that are telling me about something that happened in Boston or that's happening in my local area. They also add, were you a member of a club as a kid? Yes and no. And I understand why they're asking for that, because then they can even, now you're an alumnus, as it were, and they can segment you out even more. But all of this extra stuff can be asked in subsequent emails. It's too much. It creates friction. And now you've just lost a lot of signups by creating that friction. Excuse me. This one is from the Metropolitan Opera. I tried to screenshot the entire thing. They have 13 fields that are required here. The only thing they didn't ask me for was my Zoom ID and blood type, but basically they asked for everything else. And I'm not sure why they're asking for so much, unless they really don't want people to sign up, unless you're really dedicated to what the Met Opera stands for. That could be, but it's too much, and they're losing probably a lot of potential signups to their e-newsletter. This one is from the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. I love their tagline, here until Parkinson's isn't. That's excellent. And it starts off well. They asked me only for one thing. They asked for my email address. I was like, woohoo, done. But then it takes me to another form. And the form then asks me for first name, last name, zip code, and connection to Parkinson's. You already know, I've talked already about first name, last name, and zip code. I want to talk for a second about connection to Parkinson's. I understand why they're asking it. They want to segment their email. Do you have Parkinson's? Are you taking care of a loved one of Parkinson's? Did somebody in your family pass away from Parkinson's? Whatever it is. However, that's a very personal question to be asking, number one. Number two, certainly it's a very personal question to be asking me before I even signed up. Wait until we build the relationship a little bit. After a welcome email and subsequent emails, you can ask that as a survey. And maybe I answer, maybe I don't. That's my decision. But I'm not sure I want to give you personal family history or personal history or information I don't want to give out. So I understand why they're asking it, but I would, if I was, talking to their foundation, I would tell them I wouldn't ask it. I would wait for that, because that creates a lot of friction in the process and potentially stops a lot of people. By the way, it's a required field. It could stop a lot of people from signing up, and they're losing, again, potential to get a lot of subscribers who they can eventually convert into donors. One more, the Task Force for Global Health. This is a yes. All they ask for is email. It's above the footer. The subscribe now button stands out. They also have something interesting here, view a sample newsletter. And I'm on the fence about it. On the one hand, when you view it, it takes you to a new page, which means I'm now away from this form. So you've removed me from the form. On the other hand, it might help to seal the deal. You might have people who found value on your webpage. They've come to this point, but they're not 100% sure I want to sign up. So you give them a sample newsletter. They look at it. They go, oh, that's content that I want. I'll sign up. So it's something that I believe, without knowing, but I believe that the Task Force for Global Health has tested it, and they found out that it works to help them get more people signing up. And so they've added view sample newsletter right there on their subscription form. So now let's talk. We've done where it has to be above the footer, have a great call to action, what fields you need, really it's just email. Let's talk about, should you have an ask to sign up for your e-newsletter on your online donation form, like this one here from the Salvation Army, which has an ask. You can see all the donate options they have here, which is great for users, but they also have, I would like to receive emails from the Salvation Army. Not the best call to action, but they've got it on their donation form. Ron, if you could do me a favor, could you launch the poll about including an option to subscribe on your online donation form? We're going to launch a second poll now for everyone. Take a quick break.
All right, poll is launched. You can answer on the right.
And you got just a simple yes or no. Should you include an option to subscribe to your e-newsletter on your online donation form? Yes or no? What do you got, everybody? Would love to hear from you. If you're looking for it, it's on the right side of the screen under polls.
Yeah, can you guys see that?
If you can't see it, leave Ron a message in the chat. Can't click. We have a couple of people who said it's launched, but they can't click.
All right. Put your answer in the chat.
Put your answer in the chat.
Hopefully
That's
the
fine.
next, yeah, put the answer in the
Let's get
chat.
some yeses and nos. Here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
3 yeses. I got a no from Ashley, a yes from Robert. Let's go. We got Monica with the yes, Robert with the yes, Kat with the yes, Ruth with the no, Mariana with the no. We're getting some answers. We got a mix here. No question mark, James. So we've got about a mix. We've got a mix of yeses or nos. And so what I want to do is give you the answer right away, but not from me. I'm going to share with you an expert opinion and why you should or should not. And this comes from Jeremy Bivens, who is the managing director at Good Dog Strategies. He is a nonprofit marketing expert. And when I asked him this question, his answer was yes, yes, and always yes, because you want to speak to them again. A donation is never a single transaction. It's an opportunity to ensure you're starting and maintaining a good relationship with a key supporter. Here's the deal. A donation is never the end of the road. It's just the beginning. Once they donate, what do you do next? Thank them immediately, right? And then you start sending them emails or direct mail, whatever it is, but you send them impact reports, how they're making an impact in the community. You share stories with them. You might share some data with them. You might share other pieces of information with them along the cycle until the next ask. If all you're doing is just, taking the money, and then you have no connection with you're not engaging people, you're not engaging donors until the next time you have an ask. Well, I remind you about that 45% retention rate, why it's so low. That's why. So what you want to do is definitely on your donation page, you want to ask people to sign up for your e-newsletter. So what does that look like? This is from the United Way. And you can see here, I just took a screenshot of just the part where they ask people to subscribe. And they ask for email, which they need. Phone they ask for, but it's not required. And then they have a little call to action here. And what I really want to concentrate on is this empty square here, which as of 2 weeks ago, I was 100% sure. And now I'm doing a little bit of research, and I'd like to share with you what's going on. Normally, I would say that this box is what we call opt-in. It's not checked. When you ask me to opt into something, I have to take a positive action. That's a good thing, right? I want to sign up for your newsletter. I'm taking a positive action. When it's pre-checked and I decide I don't want to get your newsletter, now I have to opt out. And that's a negative action to be taking. What you want is people to be taking a positive action. I want to sign up for your newsletter. Or on other forums where you have these opt-in boxes, I want to click. I want to do it. Now, what changed in the last 2 weeks was I started speaking to experts again about this topic based on an email I got from a friend of mine in fundraising. And I started looking into it. Here's the deal. You can do opt-out, have it pre-checked as the default. That's going to cause potentially more people to become subscribers. Why? Because it's too much pain for me to go get my mouse and go unclick that box. So there are going to be a bunch of people who are just going to skip right over it and just let it go. The deal with that is, though, is now there's a bunch of people who are now, they didn't unclick it, right? So now they're on your subscriber list. They're going to start getting emails from you, and they're going to wonder, why? I never signed up for it. When did I sign up? And now you're potentially creating friction post-process. So what I would suggest, I'm delving into this a lot more to see, there's a default and then there's transparency, what's best for the nonprofit. Here's my suggestion. Test it out. See what happens. Click, have it pre-checked, see what happens. Leave it open, see if you get more people subscribing. See how many people it's pre-checked, see how many people uncheck it. Test it. See what happens. And see what builds a connection with your potential subscribers and what creates friction. with potential subscribers. I would say, by the way, just as an example, the same thing with processing fees on online donation forms. I am a huge fan. Yes, include them. Put a thing there that asks people if they would like to pay the processing fee for a donation that they're making online. If it's not pre-checked, now I'm taking a positive action. You know what? I would like to spend the extra $267 and help out the nonprofit. If it is pre-checked, I want you to think what's going to happen. You might have a bunch of people who gave $100, and then they're going to get a receipt for $102.67, and they're going to wonder, whoa, what's that extra $267? What happens with monthly donors who suddenly, I was giving $25 a month, and now in the aggregate, when I add it all up, I wasn't just giving $300 over the year, I was giving $338, just to take a round number, okay? And now I'm not sure, that's an extra $38 I didn't want to spend. So that's another thing to test out. And that's why on your online forms, up until 2 weeks ago, I would have said, opt in for everything. Keep it just like the United Way has it, blank on every single form on your website. However, now that I've learned more, and I'm going to continue learning more about this, I would say test it and see which works better for you, pre-checked or unchecked. Here's from City of Hope. There is no checkbox at all. In fact, at the bottom of their donation form, it says, provide your email and mobile number so we can send your gift confirmation and tax receipt. Okay, that's fine. But then it says, by giving us your email, we're going to share updates with you about life-saving breakthroughs and the impact of your generous donation. They don't even give you an option whether to opt in or opt out. They're just telling you have to give your email address. And guess what? You're now automatically opted in. I would not say that that's very subscriber friendly, as it were. And you might get a lot of people who are either going to unsubscribe or they're going to say, I never wanted this. And some people who get upset enough will mark you down as spam. If enough people mark your email, your e-newsletters as spam, you're going to have a real big problem. So you want to be very careful of that. This one comes from the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And I know it's very small on your screen, but that's on purpose. Up here where I have the arrow, it says, I want to receive emails. That's all it says. But there's 2 asterisks, which means you have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page of this Dana-Farber. This is their online donation form. And down here it says receive updates so you can help in the fight against cancer, which is a great call to action. Put that call to action up here. Think about what's happening now. Number one, the font size is really small. Think about people who are donating via mobile or people who have disabilities, people with eyesight issues, people who are older than 45 is when eyesight starts to go a little bit, right? You want your font size to be a nice font size so they can read it easily. And then how many of us actually scroll all the way down to read the fine print? Nobody. This form is losing them a lot of potential subscribers because this is a bad call to action and I'm not going to read the fine print all the way at the bottom. This one is from Easter Seals. It just says by taking action, you'll be signed up, except there's no action to take because they've already pre-checked it for me. So you want to fix this verbiage up. Yes, thank you. I can subscribe at any time. That's great. But by taking action, don't have this checked if that's the verbiage that you're going to use. So we've looked at onboarding and we want you to onboard as many people as possible. I've given you best practices and tips for being able to do that. I now want to go to the next thing as my friend the fundraising coach, Beth Ann Locke, she calls it having a gratitude attitude. And I apologize to anyone who may be upset with this slide. I know I'm violating PowerPoint protocol by having more than 4 bullet points on one slide, but I wanted to have everything in one place. I want to tell you what gratitude has to look like. Number one has to be immediate. When I click that subscribe button, an email should automatically be going to my inbox. Number two, it needs to be mobile friendly. Over 50% of people read emails on their mobile, on their phone, right? If your welcome email isn't mobile friendly, do you think I'm going to read any more of your emails? Probably not, because it looked horrible. I'm not going to do that. You need a good subject line. It can't just be your subscription to our newsletter. Do something different that makes me want to open it up and want to read the email. Just as a data point, 35% of people open up emails based on the subject line alone. So it's not just for this email. For all emails you send out, have a ridiculously good subject line, because when you don't, 1/3 of people may not even open it to look at it. Have the email sent by a person. Email is a form of communication from the organization, to me, the individual subscriber. The same way you would do with direct mail, have it sent by a person. Do not send emails info at, email at, reply at. Have it come from a person, so it's a one-to-one piece of communication. Personalize it. If you asked me in the form on your website for my first name, personalize that email. Hi, Ron. Welcome, Ron. We're so happy to have you, Ron. Don't ask me for something that you're not going to use later on. That's friction post-process. Make it easy on the eye. Make sure the email is easy to read. Think about how you read email. You scan, you skim, right? When it's easy on the eye, it's much easier to do that. When it's all, ooh, there's a lot of stuff going on and there's 15 pictures and 7 different font sizes and 3 different colors and everything, it's too much and people aren't going to read it. So make sure your welcome email, sure, because that's that first piece of communication between a new subscriber in your organization, but then every subsequent email has to be easy on the eye. In terms of the tone of the letter, it should be warm and friendly. Thank you. We're so excited to have you. We're glad you joined us. And then the final one is set expectations. In your welcome email, tell me how often you'll be getting in touch with me. Is it monthly? Is it weekly? Is it quarterly? Is it daily? Is it yearly? Whatever it is. It doesn't mean that I'm going to set a Google Calendar reminder every other Tuesday I'm getting an email from organization X. But at least set the expectations. When you say we'll be in touch every now and then, it doesn't say anything to me. So set expectations. So in terms of that gratitude email, what does that look like? And Ron, I'd like to launch the third poll. I'm not sure, you'll let me know if we're doing it in polls or in the chat.
Yes, it's going to be in polls. I'm
Okay.
going to share it just a moment here. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more luck with it. I think perhaps it just needed a little bit of time to load over there for everybody.
Okay, so here we
getting
go.
some
Good.
answers
So in
now.
your
There we
welcome
go.
email to new subscribers, should you ask for a donation? Yes or no? Let's see what we've got. Love to get a couple more answers. Okay. Ooh, almost a 50-50 split going here. All right. We'll let it go a couple more seconds. And all right. Almost an even split, 50-50. Amazing. So I'm going to tell you what the answer is, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let an expert tell you. And here I want to quote, excuse me, I want to quote Julie Cooper, who is a fundraising copywriter. And here's what she wrote, what she told me when I asked her this question. Asking a new subscriber to donate or do anything significant right away is like asking you to marry them on the first date. Now, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't ask somebody you were dating to marry them on the first date. Do not ask for a donation in that first email. I remind you of the rule of 7. It takes an average of 7 touch points to get that subscriber to a point where they're going to want to donate to you. Don't just throw it at them. Hey, you're a new subscriber. Boom. Hey, give us money. That's not what you want to be doing. So giving gratitude, it can be done in 2 different places, and you want to do it in 2 places. One is on the website itself, where you have like a pop-up or a landing page saying thank you. This comes from Teach for America. I love this image. The big thanks for signing up here. And then they encourage you to watch a video about them. So you're just going to stay on their website and watch a video, another touch point. You got that person to subscribe, watch a video. There's another touch point. Get them to learn more about your organization. There's this one from the Environmental Defense Fund, which I absolutely love. I don't know if you can see it, but there's this polar bear here in the upper right corner. It's great. The big, huge thanks. But then they do something that's really interesting to me. They add here, they want your zip code. And the question is why? Help us send you state and local alerts. Again, it's like that Planned Parenthood example I showed you earlier. They're national and they want to segment their list so they can send you alerts that apply specifically to you where you live. But then they add something even better, social proof. When we see others doing something, we're more likely to follow their lead. What do they add here? 2 out of 3 people who sign up also add their local information here. They've tested this and they found that 67% of people want to add their zip code. Well, guess what? I want to be like the majority of that community. Odds are I'm going to add my zip code. So they haven't asked for zip code on the initial form. What they've done is asked for it on the thank you form. And there is another touch point, zip code, right? Now I know where this person, what area this person lives in. That's a touch point with the organization. This is the Ronald McDonald House Charities. They have a simple thank you right above the subscription form, and it says, thank you for signing up. I love this thank you because I love script, I love cursive. And they add, we're thrilled you decided to join our family. There's that warm and friendly feeling. You're part of a family. Okay, I know we don't like all our family members, but for the ones we do like. And then they add, today you've joined a global movement. I've now joined a larger community of do-gooders that enable families to focus on what's most important, their sick child, while we take care of the rest. This is a great thank you pop-up. So let me take you inside an email. And James, if you're still here, I apologize. I didn't when I submitted the slides, I didn't realize you were going to be here. But James works for Palouse Land Trust in Idaho, and she has a fantastic welcome email that I have used in other presentations. So if you want, James, you can put it in the chat. If you want to put your website where people can sign up if they want to see an example. First of all, you should follow what they're doing. She's got a great newsletter to start with. But if you want to see a great welcome email, sign up for their email and look at her example. Another example, which is the one I'm going to be sharing with you, is Save the Children. And here's what they sent me. Oh, it's in the chat. Thank you for adding it to the chat. Shout out to you, Jane. Their subject line was welcome to Save the Children with an exclamation point. So it was like right away, which is that's a good subject line. It comes from Carolyn Miles. So it comes from a person, which is what we want. The only problem is that instead of having her email address here, it comes from email@e.savethechildren.org. It should have Carolyn's email here. In their welcome email, the first thing they do is they have a great hero image at the top, which captures my attention. And then they say again, welcome to our Save the Children family. So they're welcoming me nicely. Then I couldn't be more grateful. There's that tone of warm, friendly gratitude, thanking. Second paragraph, thanks to the commitment of compassionate people like you, I'm part of a big community. And they give me a little bit of data about them. They work in 120 countries, reaching more than 134 million children. The next thing they do is that touch point. They have a call to action in the welcome email, and they want me to watch a video and learn more. In terms of this, one, if you have a YouTube video, get a thumbnail, get a really good image for that thumbnail. Something, again, that's going to capture my attention. And the order you want it in your email is thumbnail, capture my attention, then call to action, watch the video to learn more. This is how you should have it appear in your emails. By the way, that's welcome email and all emails. Image first, then the call to action. And then finally, they end off with, we're excited to share our latest news and stories with you. There's that warm, friendly tone. And it's signed that this e-signature is a really nice touch. And it turns out she's the CEO of Save the Children. This is awesome. So all of it is good. But P.S., if you'd like to make a gift now, we all know in fundraising, people read the PS. Your direct mail appeals, which you're going to be sending now for year end, you absolutely have to have a PS. People see them and they read the PS, and the PS is just a short synopsis of what you're asking people to do. So in this PS, they could have used watch the video, something else, a different touch point. They've asked for a gift, which we already know we don't want to be doing. In this one, I love the picture here. Welcome to Team JDC. So I'm part of a team. They've included a video for me to watch. They have a paragraph here which tells me a little bit, has some links that I can click on about where the JDC works around the world. And then they have this call to action where you can learn more. On the bottom in their footer, they have their social media icons. Keep in mind, people do not read all your emails. They're not going to connect with you only via email. You know what's a great touch point, a great call to action? Get them to follow you also on social media so you have different places where you can interact and engage with your audience. This is a pop-up I got from CMMB. The image in the background, great. Thank you for being part of our growing global community. Awesome. Touch point. Look at this great thumbnail they have here. YouTube video, watch it. That's great. Unfortunately, they also asked me for a donation. And not just any donation, give once or give monthly. All I did was sign up for your newsletter, and you're already asking me for a monthly donation. This should be off of this pop-up on their website once you sign up. I signed up for the Healthwell Foundation's e-newsletter. The first email I got from them was actually a press release that they're offering financial assistance to people living with Lambert-Eaton myasthenic syndrome, and I apologize if I mispronounced that. This is not a good welcome email. It might be important, but this is not the way to welcome me as a new subscriber with just a press release. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I happen to love beating cancer is in our blood. That's a great tagline. Their first email to me, they asked me to donate for people doing a triathlon for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. They didn't welcome me. They didn't tell me more about their organization. They didn't give me, the touch point was, hey, give us money. No, not a great touch point. So finally we come now to the end, and I have two favorite hashtags, always be testing and always be learning. So we're going to talk about testing right now. And what can you test with email? I want you to test the call to action on your form. If you see the traffic to your website, you've got thousands of people coming to your website, but very few signing up for your e-newsletter, it might be time to change the call to action. Remember, a call to action is not subscribe or read our newsletter. You want a call to action that seals the deal, that adds value to me as a subscriber. If you really want me to add you to my inbox, you better tell me why. So maybe work on your form call to action and see if that ups the amount of people who are being onboarded and becoming new subscribers. The subject line for your welcome emails and other emails is something to test and to analyze and see which subject lines work best to get people to open and to click through. And then we come to open rate and CTR. And I will not get on my soapbox for too long about this. Click-through rate is very important. How many people are clicking? On what type of content are they clicking? What this person enjoys reading about and what this person will never click on. You need to know that so that you can make sure you have content that is engaging your subscribers and eventually moving, again, as you move with subsequent emails towards eventually making an ask. So what's the deal with open rate? A year ago, so it was last September, Apple launched a new security setting, which allows people who opt into that security setting to, nobody will ever know if you opened their email or not. So let's say you have Apple Mail and that's what you're using, and you opted into that security setting, MailChimp, Constant Contact, ActiveCampaign, you name any of those companies, they will have no idea if you opened your email or not. So it could be in the last year you've seen your open rate skyrocket or take a downturn, but there's no way to know because everybody's guessing what open rate is today. So that's why I don't put any, it's a vanity metric as far as I'm concerned, it always was, because they opened it. Yes, that's good, but we want them to take action. That's what we want, bottom line, right? Because of that security setting, it's even less now. Do we really know how many people opened it? Do we not know how many people opened it? You're looking at your click-through rate. How many people are clicking on your call to action? And finally, something you want to test and analyze is your content. If you have a very low click-through rate, take a look at your content. Are people engaging with your content? Are people not interested in your content? Change up the content. Do what you have to get more click-throughs. Because when you get more click-throughs, now you have more opportunities when they come to the website to convert them, to get them to take that action that you want them to take. And that's not just donate. That could be download an ebook. It could be sign up, register for an event, volunteer. It could be any of those forms that you have on your website. But if you want them to take an action, make sure your content is encouraging them to take action so that they click the call to action button, they go to your website, and they convert. So in terms of email onboarding, one, form location on the bottom above the footer of every page of your website. The ask, the call to action, give me a reason to sign up to your e-newsletter. Form fields, email, and that's it. You want to ask first name, we talked about zip code. If you're going to ask for first name, personalize your emails. Donation page mention, yes, it should be opt-in, although you can test. I still would say opt-in, but working on it, and we'll see where I end up falling on the default versus opt-out versus opt-in. Gratitude. Have a pop-up message on your website plus a great welcome email to welcome the new subscriber. And finally, always be testing. That's the best way to find out what's working with your email and what isn't. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you to Ron and to For a Good Cause for hosting me. If you'd like to connect with me, you can visit my website, LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm always happy to connect with non-profiteers wherever you are. I have a couple of other things that, Ashley, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Ron is going to share a couple of links with you if you want to connect with me. One is my daily e-newsletter is one. Number two, you'll see that Ron posted my my ebook, which this presentation is based on. It's an ebook that's free to download, how to onboard new subscribers. It's got a lot more information than what I shared here today. If you want, I work in the area of email strategy and upgrading your email strategy. I can help you build one and help you build those connections so you grow your nonprofit. That's in terms of work. And finally, if you want, this is free. It's called the Weekly Send, Successful Email for Nonprofit Development. In 5 minutes a week, it's a video that you'll get every Friday to your email as a subscriber. And in 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how to boost your email fundraising and marketing. I review actual emails sent to subscribers and show you what's working and what isn't, give you expert advice, tips, best practices, etc. It's every week, 5 minutes a week. And that's it. Ron, thanks very, very much. I'm here to answer any and all questions. And also say, thank you. Just 1 second. I'm looking in the chat. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you to Kat. Thank you to Rebecca. And thank you to Ruth. I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks to you. This has been absolutely fabulous. I've got a couple of things that I picked up for my own email strategy. So I absolutely love this. Let's get into some questions in the time that we have left here. So going back to one of your folks, James, is this the same thing as asking if folks want to opt in to receive comms, or is that a separate sign-up field? I assume that means, not email, not email, but something direct mail or some other piece.
So I'd say like this, it depends how many different comms you have, right? I would say the one thing you want to do is get with each individual donor, let's say, you want to get granular with each one. How do they prefer to hear from you? Do they want email, text, never want to hear from you except once a year for an ask? Do they only want direct mail? You can ask, depending on how many different types of comms you have. But thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. What you don't want is to have like 27 opt-in, fields on your online donation form. That might create a little bit of friction. So if it's different types of comms, I would do one for text and one for e-news. Yes, those are two you could use to separate it out a little bit.
Perfect. We have a question from Veronica. What type of email sequences should nonprofits think about having besides the usual campaigns, the sequences that lead up to asking for a donation?
Okay, so I'll start with the one I discussed right at the end, the welcome email. The welcome email shouldn't just be one email. The welcome email should be a welcome sequence. And it should be 3 to 7 emails where you slowly introduce each new subscriber to your organization. You can use stories, surveys, quizzes, and different touch points to get them learning more about your organization. And then you use that to build up to that first fundraising ask, a small ask. Don't ask them for $10,000 as a new subscriber. Make it a really small ask, something that's easy for them to do financially, potentially. I know that everybody knows it's tough times out there, but that's how you want to build it up. You don't want to just have one welcome email and then the next email, hey, could you give us money? So that would be a sequence that you could use to be able to build up to a fundraising ask.
Great. Another question, how can we encourage more meaningful engagement through email? And to me, that sounds a lot like storytelling and telling stories through your email, talking about impact. And that's going to draw people back in to do any CTA that you might throw out in an email.
Correct. 100% agree. I'll just self-promote here. The weekly send, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm teaching you what content to include in your emails. But I'm going to throw a bunch of things at you. Surveys, quizzes, content, stories, video. Just 5 right there. If all your emails are ask, guess what most people are going to stop doing? They're going to stop opening. And I can tell you, I did this study, I believe it was 2 years ago, because Giving Tuesday is coming up. I don't want to get into Giving Tuesday because that's a different soapbox that I stand on. But I did a survey to see how many emails I got in a 24-hour period from the various nonprofits that I am a subscriber of their e-newsletter. By the way, I subscribe to over 100, and I read every single email. Okay, so I'm not normal in that regard. 100%, and I understand it. But I wanted to see how many times they emailed me on Giving Tuesday. Now, here's the fun part about that. Giving Tuesday actually started on Sunday, where they started asking early, hey, get a leg up on your Giving Tuesday and give today on Sunday. Then they emailed me on Monday. Then there were Tuesday emails. And then I got emails on Wednesday. You haven't given to our Giving Tuesday campaign yet, but hey, you still can. It's open. I had one organization who emailed me 17 times in a 24-hour period over Giving Tuesday. Folks, this is not how you engage me. This is not how you connect with me. This is not how you get me to become a donor. A variety of content. I need you all to think about the abundance of content you're sitting on. Stories. But don't tell me stories about only about your beneficiaries and who you're serving. Stories about your staff, your volunteers, your donors. Why do your donors give to you? Your board members. And that's just for starters. There is a plethora of content that you could be sharing, right? Email is a one-to-one communication. Think of it as that. And what happens when you have a communication where it's always the same thing over and over and over again? Do you pay attention or do you tune out? I know what your answer is. I don't have to run a poll or ask in the chat for that one. Folks, variety is the spice of email.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A couple of last questions here. How to best handle multiple lists, audience list signups. I think the question is really about segmenting and how to not have 1,000 lists, but bring them all together and maybe segment your content and your messaging.
Okay, so for all of those of you out there who have your donor database on 5 different computers in 16 different Excel spreadsheets, because each new fundraiser who came decided to do it their way, and there's no main database. A, I'm sending you hugs. B, I feel your pain. Been there. This is the same thing with email. You have a bunch of subscribers on this list, a bunch on that. Get them all in one place, please. And if you're using MailChimp or Constant Contact or ActiveCampaign or any of the others, get them there. Now, as Ron said, you want to segment. The emails that you send to your monthly donors should not necessarily, or let's do fundraising asks, just that email alone. Your fundraising ask for monthly donors shouldn't be the same as volunteers, shouldn't be the same as board members, shouldn't be the same as annual givers, shouldn't be the same as major donors. So your emails, you can already segment it out, let's say by the type of giving. And if they're not givers, by the type of content they like or other ways to segment out. You can use tags. In all the different email service providers and all the ESPs, you can tag them. And then you only send to that segment. And that's how you want to do it. Get everything in one place. If you've got lists floating around in different spreadsheets and Google Docs and I don't know what else, get it all into one place. It'll make your life a lot easier. Otherwise, you're giving yourself a headache for no reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is absolutely perfect. I really appreciate everybody being here today. Ephraim, thanks for sharing your expertise. I certainly recommend everybody to listen to your podcast, sign up for your e-newsletter. They're going to learn absolutely amazing things if they follow you there and also on social media. To anybody that might be watching this later on demand, you can reach out to me here at For Good Cause. If you need to something you missed or you want to get in touch with us, please do that here. If you did miss anything, I will be sending out the replay probably tomorrow, so be on the lookout for an email from me. Once I close this webinar, you will be redirected to a survey. Let us know how we did today. Any feedback, comments that you want to make? Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to follow up on that. This will be my final point for whoever's still here. Feedback. This is a bonus tip. Ask for feedback in your emails. Ron, why should I be asking for feedback in my emails? Now you're getting a test.
Cause I got to know how I can improve. I'm always be testing.
Okay, I'm with Ron on that one. I'm going to give you a second reason. Because when you ask for feedback, sometimes, yes, you're going to get negative feedback about your emails. But you know what that does? It opens up a conversation with an individual subscriber. It gives you a chance to connect one-to-one. Feedback is good. It's gold. It tells you what's working and what isn't, and it gives you a chance to talk to an individual subscriber. So like Ron just said, I very much would love your feedback on this webinar. I'm a big fan of feedback. Thanks, Ron.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thanks to everybody to be here. We know what it means for you to take the time today. Thanks for what you're doing in your community. and for spending a little time with us today. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.